Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes Podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Haygood. Scottsdale Fashion Week is coming up. We're just going to continue on. So this week, I am so excited to introduce you to our September cover story for Scottsdale City Lifestyle. And when we come back, we're going to hear about a local designer and her influence on Scottsdale fashion. But before we do that, for over 25 years, our sponsor, Scottsdale Realtor Shawn Shackelton, has guided buyers and sellers with straight talk, smart strategy, and data that keeps you ahead of the market. If you want a calm pro who won't let you settle for less, reach out to Shawn at 480-734-7277 or visit theshackletongroup.com and make your next move a winning one. As we dive into fashion with designer who's making bold moves right here in our city, Haley Emerson, founder of the luxury brand Haley J, is no stranger to the fashion world. From studying at Savannah College of Art and Design to working with fashion houses in London and New York, she's built an impressive foundation. Now she's calling Scottsdale home, launching a brand that celebrates unapologetic self-expression, which to me is all what style is, and empowers women and children to embrace their individuality. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Haley Emerson, our September cover story. So congratulations and thank you for joining me today.
I am so excited to be here. It truly is such an honor to be the cover girl and be on the podcast.
I love it. We met in the elevator coming up here talking about stuff. And I told you in the elevator, I was like, I really had to think about what I was wearing today. I put so much pressure on myself for you to sit next to me at a table that we can only see my shirt. But so much went into this.
That's so funny.
Haley, where did the light bulb go off for you in life that fashion was going to be your thing, do you think?
Honestly, it happened from a really young age. When I was young, I was always sketching dresses in my notebooks, creating fashion magazines. I started sewing at the age of 6. Okay. And so it really was always my calling. Anything creative, painting, drawing, art, anything. Okay. And so it was no surprise to anyone that knew me that when I went to SCAD for fashion design, it's always been my calling.
Yeah. I'm a Georgia girl, so I know SCAD very well. My very best friend lives in Savannah. An amazing, talented school. It's like the Juilliard for art almost, like SCAD is. So you went to SCAD, and then that took you to, I'm going to read Detroit, London, New York. I mean, all of these massive power players in the fashion industry. Mm-hmm. How did you go from SCAD to your next step?
Absolutely. So I was actually born and raised in Detroit, and then I went to Savannah for college. And then after college, I really just wanted an experience that was kind of wild. So I moved abroad. My husband and I moved abroad. We moved to London. Okay. And there I worked as a pattern maker. And then I went on to work in New York as a technical designer.
Talk a pattern. Okay.
Yes.
Tell me how this works because, I just wear it.
Absolutely.
I look you. It's like for me, watching a movie or TV is not fun sometimes because we see everything in it. What does a pattern designer do and how does that work?
Yes. So a pattern maker really is focusing on actually how a garment is made. So your garment, think of it as in pieces. So your shirt that you're wearing has a front piece, it has a back piece. If you have a more complicated piece, it has a bunch of other pieces kind of coming together to make the garment. So it's actually drafting the pattern, and there's 2 different ways you can do that. When I was in London, I did a lot of that by hand. So you're actually drafting the patterns with rulers and measurements and paper and pens and doing it by hand, but you can also do it on the computer. But my specialty is more the handwork side of it. So that's the short, easy version of what pattern making is.
Talk about how that took you did that. How long were you in London?
About a year and a half. Okay. It was right during COVID. And so we decided we were locked down in our flat in London for 6 months, and we were we miss our families. Yeah. And so we decided to move back to the United States.
Okay.
Yep.
You went from there to New York?
Yes.
So talk about that move.
Yes. So at the time, we actually moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
And I got a job in New York, and my husband got an amazing job in Atlanta. And so we were kind of splitting time between
I've been there, done that with my husband. It's
totally.
Fine.
We kind of were splitting time between the two. And I just knew that I wanted more experience. And so I went into technical design, which is basically kind of like pattern making, but instead of doing the patterns, you're perfecting the fit. So you're doing the fit of the garment on the model, and you're making real-time adjustments. And so we often would go through 2 or 3, sometimes 4 or 5 prototypes before it would reach the customer. And so the pattern making and the technical design were kind of just the perfect combination of launching my own brand.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Y'all, I just learned, so I learned how to sew a button on 15 years ago. And I know this because that's when my husband and I were moving in together. And my grandmother refused to let her granddaughter live with a man unless she knew how to sew a button on. And so that is where my sewing skills end. But like it took me till I was 27 years old to learn how to sew a button. And it was only because she didn't want our Southern ways to like be embarrassed. I couldn't do that. So we were in very different levels of how to work fashion in that sense.
Yeah.
Fashion is influential.
Yes.
It is personal. How has that, your past, your background, and your ability shaped you into influencing your Scottsdale fashion scene and how that brought you here?
Absolutely. I think there's kind of 2 parts to it. I think the first part is when you think about luxury fashion, you automatically think about the powerhouses. You think about Paris, you think about New York, you think about London. And while I loved my experiences there, I really wanted a place that had so much more opportunity, but in a different way. The fashion scene here is growing. It's growing so rapidly, and it's such a unique opportunity to come in and really show people my brand and show people what I'm all about. And I think my brand, it's all about color. It's all about energy. It's all about the sunshine. Yeah. And so I think it's kind of the perfect place. Scottsdale is kind of the perfect place to have my brand.
Do you I love that because I'm looking at what you're wearing. You're very much wearing sunset colors right now. If you look in the magazine, everything is bright and vibrant. That is one thing. I mean, you know this from being in the Midwest. We see green and like those kind of colors. Desert colors are something unique, and you think bland, and it is not. It's really the pops of the bright colors.
Absolutely.
So when you look at when you started off as just in textiles and then design, how did each place influence you in that sense to help you establish your brand and style in that way? Because it's very different when you're putting together different materials and then come to Scottsdale because those materials won't work kind of thing.
Absolutely. I mean, fashion is very based on climate, right? And I also think when you're in the U.S. domestically versus internationally, cultural norms between countries are also very different with styles and states. And so when you are designing, you do have to think about the country, you have to think about the state, you have to think about the climate. And so what I've kind of thought about with Haley J is everything in my brand is 100% silk. It's light, it's airy, it's not heavy. I mean, I do have a faux fur coat. That's the only piece in the collection that's a little bit heavier for the winter months. But everything is really just meant to be this really easy, colorful fabric that is meant to move with you through life. Yeah. Which is so fitting for the climate.
How do you take style and make it timeless?
Yes, that is a good question. My answer is in my own personal style and in my brand, I have never been one to follow trends. I actually very rarely look at what's going on around me with trends.
Interesting.
I very rarely look at what's trending with colors. I really just design truly with the woman who wants to be bold and unapologetic. She wears it today or she wears it in 10 years, it's going to have the same message.
Why women's clothing? Yes. Why children's clothing? You could do anything. Why did you gravitate towards that?
For women, I think it's a pretty straightforward answer. My brand is who I am. I think as a creative, your personal and your professional life often mix. There isn't usually a clear line in the sand. You never really go home from work.
No.
And so I'm a woman and my brand is who I am to my core. And that's who I design for other women who are similar in a similar place as life as me, who want to show up confidently and boldly. And children's wear, honestly, was really selfish. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I just wanted to match with her, and that was about it. And so I was like, oh, this would just be a fun thing to add. But the women's wear is the focus of the brand, and the children's wear truly is just a couple of the pieces are miniature versions of the women's to kind of support and match.
Yeah. When it comes to you'd use the bright colors. There's not a lot of pattern in everything. Why is that for you?
I think for me, colors have always been a really unique way to express emotion. And I've always been drawn to putting different color combinations together and kind of the result that you're going to get with that.
Yeah.
And it just is very, when you have two very in your face colors, it says a lot. And while I do love print and I do love pattern, I do have one look in the collection that is pattern. I really just feel like color speaks for itself.
Yeah. I'm with you. If you go in my closet, I have so many solids of everything.
Yes.
To me, it just gives me more opportunity to do more. Patterns are memorable in that sense, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but I also say I have a big hair and a big mouth, so I kind of tame it down on the patterns in my clothes, just go with bold colors to stand out more. You talked about doing a little bit of the kids to kind of match. How has as motherhood and stuff like that influenced you to your style and how you design for women? And I see that growing too, because as you change from motherhood and different stages of that, how your fashion could change.
Yeah. I think there's kind of two parts to this. I think the first part is anyone who's a working mom or has a business, the struggle of balancing motherhood and balancing business. And so kind of what has helped me is I try to bring my daughter into my business in every opportunity that I can. And so it could look like when I'm designing for the new collection, she's in my studio and she's drawing or painting, scribbling.
Yeah.
But it kind of reminds me, because I'm a perfectionist and I like everything very perfectly, to kind of think outside of the box. Or she's coming over and she's ripping my paper, like kind of just being like, this creative expression that she's allowing has kind of influenced me, loosened me up a little bit, which has led to some of my best designs. And then I think the second part is as a woman and as a mother, I want to show up every single day and show her what it means to follow your dreams and what it means to have a successful brand and kind of just be that example for her.
Well, let's talk about the successful brand, Haley J. Talk about where the name came from and talk about the inspiration of, like, as every entrepreneur, new business owner does, where was it? Today's the day. That's it. I'm getting my LLC and I'm starting this and no one can tell me no kind of moment for Haley J.
So Haley J is named after myself, as most luxury fashion brands are. My middle name is Jean, so it's just a play. J is a play on my middle name. I always knew that I wanted to start my own brand. I always felt like I had a unique aesthetic that I thought could be really conducive to having my own brand. But the aha moment, I was in New York and I loved my job and I was so thankful for my job, but I was kind of tired of giving my creative ideas and my creative genius to someone else to build their name and their legacy. And that was the moment that I was like, today is the day. It's time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you pick Scottsdale and here we are.
Yes.
What has been the most surprising moment or unexpected reaction that you've gotten from your line?
So I am a clothing designer by trade. That's what I do.
Yep.
And I kind of, I don't want to say an afterthought, but as the collection had progressed, I thought this collection needs matching footwear. That's what it needs to complete this outfit. And so I added footwear in kind of at a much later date, and it definitely has been the most successul item.
Really?
It is what everybody gravitates to, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm a footwear designer now.
Now we're just designer for sure.
Yep.
How is footwear going? Because that's a whole nother beast.
It is. So I made sure to partner with a manufacturing and a factory in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Someone who's been in the industry for a really long time, really knows footwear, really knows fit, and knows quality. And so I've kind of surrounded myself with people that know that industry because I didn't have any prior experience going into footwear to kind of help me create the Haley J footwear line.
I love that part. Let's dive into that for a little bit. It always takes a team and stuff like that behind you. Yes, you can be the creative aspect. Yes, you can have the ideas. Talk about your team behind you.
Yeah.
Because I know you cannot sew everything by yourself. And I know your daughter at 2 is not using a sewing machine yet.
Not
or I
yet.
will be jealous. What is that? What does it take to bring yourself to make sure that your creativity, your designs, your vision is brought to life with with everyone?
There's so many different ways you can go about it. How I've chosen to go about it, I've chosen to partner with manufacturers in the United States so I could have a super hands-on process with the manufacturing. So I can make real-time adjustments, do in-person fittings, visit the factories. And so it's really just been finding the right manufacturing partners that have the right skills, understand your brand, are willing to work with smaller brands as well, because that is a challenge as well. Finding someone that, and in the United States, in New York and LA, they're often very willing to do that. So I really just surrounded myself with great partners that can do the manufacturing.
Yeah.
I can sew. I do sew some of the samples.
I would assume so, yes.
Yes.
But you're not going to like mass sew everything.
I'm not going to mass sew everything. So having the team has been really helpful.
Nice. You mentioned this before, sustainability, ethical fashion, massive words right now that's going into the industry. How do you bring that into your designs and your quality and your products? Absolutely.
So we really focus on more natural textiles. So everything in the collection is 100% silk, except for the faux fur jacket, which is 100% recycled material.
That's cool.
So we're really just trying to focus on natural fibers, focus on sustainability in that regard. And we also are working with factories that are really thoughtful about how they're cutting the pieces. How are we creating the least amount of fabric waste? How are we making sure that they're using sustainable practices? And I think in the United States, that's much easier to do.
Interesting.
Because I can visit the factory. I can see exactly what's going on. I can see how the workers are being treated. I can see you have standards and codes here in the United States that you don't always have in other countries. So that's been really great.
I love that because it just brings into another element into your, your designs and your line and stuff like that. That really is all here, naturally made, and with our, our own people and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Looking ahead, what does the future look like for Haley J? And how, to add on to that, how do you grow within the Scottsdale artistic community and the fashion industry with Haley J?
Absolutely. So looking forward as a brand, we're working on expanding our product assortment. We're also looking at adding new styles to the collection, as well as taking some of the older styles and creating them in new colorways. We have some fun partnerships with influencers and pop-up shops and things coming up this fall and winter that we're still working on getting the details on. But when it comes to Scottsdale and it comes to growing in the Scottsdale community, I have found everyone here is so friendly and just so willing to help and so willing to make connections. So I'm really just looking to meet other entrepreneurs, meet other women who want to wear the brand, and really just grow my presence here in Scottsdale.
Growing your presence, connecting with the community, there has to be other little girls out there, adult girls, ladies out there too. What is a simple piece of take your first step? What can we do to get in and stuff like that if we have an interest and desire to be you?
I think, in my opinion, as an entrepreneur, whether it's creative or another field, you just need to get really clear about what your mission is and get really clear about what your purpose is. Because if you don't have unshakable faith and confidence in your mission, when the challenges come, it's going to fall apart.
What was your mission then that kept you feet on the ground, and determined head up?
I think my own personal style and aesthetic and my brand, I've always wanted to shop that way. And I've never really seen it anywhere else. And I figure I've always had a hard time shopping for myself. I often shop vintage because I can't find what I'm looking for in the current market. And so for me, it was just, there have to be other women out here. I have to share my brand. I have to share the joy. I have to share the color, because there are other women there that want to show up unapologetically themselves.
And so how's that going so far?
It's going great.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I love it. Maybe we'll see you at Scottsdale Fashion Week here in the coming years.
That would be awesome. That'd be the dream.
Finish the sentence for me. Fashion is
fun, playful, joyful.
I love that. Anything but simple.
Anything but simple. I don't believe in simple.
Yeah, in any way. My favorite way to wrap up every talk is to ask everyone what their favorite Scottsdale vibe is. So I'd love to know, since you're new here and you've lived in so many other amazing cities, what is your favorite Scottsdale vibe?
My favorite Scottsdale vibe is definitely just the vibe of seeing people's personal style. Like when I go out to dinner and I see everyone wearing different things, just expressing themselves, people here really appreciate style, they appreciate luxury, and they appreciate kind of standing out. And so that would be my favorite Scottsdale vibe.
I love it. So you take people watching to a whole different level.
Oh yeah. People are probably like, why is this lady staring at me?
I love it. Well, go check out our new issue of Scottsdale City Lifestyle. She is our cover story, and she is in there. And you can find it online at Scottsdale City Lifestyle. If you don't get it in your mailbox, let us know. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to welcome you to Scottsdale, to grow and to see how you influence us and our wear every day.
Absolutely.
So congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break with talk about our favorite sponsor, Jeremy Mueller. You know Scottsdale, the sunshine, the community, the way we look out for each other. Jeremy Mueller Insurance is part of that. Jeremy and his team believe supporting the community is just as important as serving their clients. Since 1999, Jeremy has been your neighbor and your go-to for home, auto, life, and business coverage. His team doesn't just sell policies, they create plans that fit your life. You'll always get exceptional service, knowledgeable advice, and someone who truly cares. So reach out to him now at jeremymueller.com or give Jeremy a call at 480-515-5223 and let Jeremy and his team take care of you. Well, it's Scottsdale season is kicking off, so I'm so excited that things are going on. The city's most high-end showcase of fashion is coming up for Scottsdale Fashion Week, September 25th through the 28th. Various events and locations around the city, so be sure to check out their website, scottsdalefashionweek.com, for every ticket night and where the location is. We also are having the Fall Maricopa County Home and Garden Show. It's Friday, September 26th through the 28th at Westworld. Admission's only $10 and parking's free, so go ahead and get your trucks out because you know you're going to be getting a lot of stuff with the season cooling down. It's the perfect time to get your garden and home ready for the outdoors. For all you concert fans, get the Let Out Led Zeppelin tribute band is coming to Talking Stick Resort on September 21st at 8 p.m. Be sure to get your tickets as those tend to be selling out quickly. I hope you have a wonderful week. Keep vibing, Scottsdale, and I'll see you around town.